I wanted to say also that if you're in an abusive relationship of any kind, whether it's your family, your relatives, your extended family, or a boyfriend, or a girlfriend, or a fiance, or a marriage, be careful because what I experienced was that they were trying to make it so that later on, from a certain point of time, they tried to make it so that a couple years later, if anything ever went to court, or if anything ever went to trial, or if anything ever got reported, they tried to ruin my credibility. And the way they did this with me, I was completely unsuspecting. I didn't know that they were trying to do this with me. But I had a boyfriend at the time, who I didn't really like, but I dated anyway. And he literally told me to lie legally. It had to do with a car accident that I was in, a really minor car accident that was literally just a bump. My insurance covered it. I was at a red light and I got rear-ended, and for me, that was the end of it. For the guy I was seeing, who I believe now knew my relatives and went in on this ridiculous scheme with them to try to get me to ruin my own legal credibility, was for him, this car accident was a cash grab. So he literally, him and his mother, actually, he had quite an aged mother, and they were both hounding me day and night to lie on medical reports, make false medical claims against the party at fault, who, like I said, it wasn't a serious car accident at all. It was covered by the other party's insurance, and then my insurance covered it for me, and it was only $500. It was just like, it was a bump. But so for them, they were literally telling me to say that I had received whiplash, I had received headaches, I had received missed work time, hours of missed work. I could take time off of work and I could get all this money. I wanted to take some schooling and some courses back then, and I had mentioned it to this fella and his mom. And then later on, when this car accident happened, his mom was like, you could use all this money that you're gonna get. Like, they thought in their heads, or they were trying to make it sound like we could just get an upwards of $20,000. It was ridiculous. Um, and they were literally coming into the place I worked at the time, or he was literally coming into the place I worked at the time, yelling at me, screaming at me. At one point, his words were, "This is no time to be honest," or something like that. I broke up with him immediately when those words came out of his mouth. He just didn't know it yet. And then after that, I had very little, if anything, to do with him at all. But later on, so I didn't go through with any of this. I thought this was all ridiculous. I thought for such a small car accident that didn't even matter. It was just a dent in my bumper, and both insurance covered it, and it was only $500, and I didn't require any medical attention for it years later. So years later, I made a report about a caregiver appointed by the government of Canada in the province where I'm from. I made a police report about him, and we ended up going to a 3-day trial after a 6-year investigative process. So here's the thing that I would like to warn people about. If I had lied, and if I had faked a bunch of injuries and made a bunch of injury claims for this seemingly unimportant car accident, and if I had gone along with this man and his mother, who I broke up with really fast after this happened, because the way they were carrying on about it was absolutely ludicrous. So if I had gone along with that, during the legal trial for another matter where I was the complainant, the defense lawyer would have zealously represented his client on the defense, and they would have brought this up. And it would have damaged my credibility. I realize this now. I did not know. I thought that this man and his mother were just being ridiculous. But I absolutely thought it was ridiculous at the time. I was like, I'm not missing work and making a bunch of injury claims that I don't have. This is ridiculous. Stop coming to my job and telling me to literally lie and make up false injury reports. Just stop. And I didn't know what their motive was. It was this: they wanted to damage my credibility for when I was a complainant and I went through all that legal process. So that can happen. I know that now. It never occurred to me for years. It didn't occur to me for a lot of years after the legal trial that I went through, specifically where if I did make injury claims that turned out to be false, then the defense counsel would have brought this up. And that's fair because they have to defend their client. So if you make injury claims that are false, then that hurts your credibility. I had no intention of doing that at the time. This was a lot of years ago. The actual trial that I went through was only about 4 years ago. But yeah, just be aware that can happen, that they might try to do that. If anything like that happens, where all of a sudden they're like, you know what, you can get all this money and you can pay for the schooling course that you want with this money that you get from this shady thing that you can do. And you know what, it's just a small shady thing, really. It's not going to hurt anyone. Insurance companies are wealthy. They can afford it. You weren't at fault. You were just sitting at the red light and all of a sudden this happened. Don't listen to all of that, and be wary of anyone who comes at you with that stuff. And if you have injuries, yeah, go to the doctor, report them, whatever. Make the medical report with your doctor if you have injuries, and if you really are injured and somehow, whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying by any means not to go to the doctor and report whatever injuries you may have. I'm just saying, don't, when this was ridiculous. I really wasn't injured. I was dizzy for about 5 minutes after I got hit from behind. That was it. It was just because it was such a hard hit that I just got a little bit dizzy and I couldn't move my car. I had to actually exit my vehicle. That was it. So just be aware that can happen, that is a tactic that they use to damage your credibility in